Okay, today we're using the bender ball. Some people call it the Pilates ball, and it's going to help you if you tend to have history of back pain, sacral joint. We start with the ball between the knees, and make sure your feet are wider than your hips. Okay, and now we want to not really engage your abdominal, but feel the top of your hips into your abdominals as you squeeze. Okay, now I'll be using a timer instead of counting, so the focus is on the breathing. So just relax, and all you're gonna do is squeeze and release the ball. And you can elevate your head and shoulders up a bit, hands supporting your head. Just make sure your elbow stays nice and wide. And again, breathe and squeeze and release. Next level, we're gonna bring your feet a little closer, and now we're gonna go into the bridging. You wanna feel the butt and the hamstring, not the low back. If that's comfortable, then again, you're gonna extend, but make sure you feel the hamstring and the butt. If you feel the low back, you went a little bit too high using your low back instead of your butt cheek and your hamstring. So again, kick it forward, not up to the ceiling. You're kicking straight ahead while holding on to the ball between your knees. Okay? Next, we're gonna go on to what I call the dead bug, but with resistance or more stability. So you're gonna use the opposite elbow, opposite knee, holding the ball, and now you're gonna reach down here and then extend. Now this is gonna require not only stability, but abdominal strength. But because you're on the floor, on the yoga mat, somewhere sturdy, you should be able to feel supported on the small of the back. Again, if you feel the tailbone, the sacral joint, in the area, just kind of take a break and reset it. Okay? Now, we're gonna take it up a notch from the previous one that we did, and we're gonna bring the knees up above hip level. And again, we're still gonna extend the knees, but now it's gonna require using abdominals a little bit more. Okay? And again, we support the head, elevate the shoulders, elbow stays nice and wide so you don't pull on your neck. And main thing, just breathe out. Holding the ball, find a good tempo that works for you so you can breathe. Okay. Now, we're moving on to the next one. Now with this one, notice the difference that we're gonna bring the knees inward as we reach for the foot or the arch of the foot. So notice how both knees kind of tucked in a little bit, and it's a little bit what I call it spicy, a little harder, but if you feel ready, you have it there to add it on later on. Okay, now we're gonna continue working through the abdominals, so we're gonna elevate, so we're gonna place the ball not on the low back, but on the tailbone area, okay, right in the crack of things, if you know what I mean. And now we're gonna do the classic extension, but without using much of your back because we're on the floor, we're supported. So you're gonna feel strictly the abdominals and then stretch to the top of the hips and a little bit on the side, okay? And again, if you feel your low back, tailbone area, the ball might likely be too high. So you want the sponge ball, the bender ball, to be right at the crack of things, right on your tailbone, okay? And again, we're gonna bring elbow nice and wide, keep it supporting your head. And one way to spice it up, as you can see here, is by lifting one foot or your feet off the ground as you get the rhythm and feel stronger. Okay, now from here, this is where we're gonna bring again stability and strength. So it's not a balance. If you feel like you're wobbling all over the place like this, right, that means that you're not engaging your butt cheek and your abdominals. So this is known as the dead bug, right? Opposite arm, opposite leg, right? But now we want to make sure that everything is working. Your butt cheek, your quads, your abs, etc. So again, if you feel like you're wobbling or quote unquote balancing yourself, you're not using your core stabilizer, you're just trying to balance like an elephant on a pencil, okay? Again, this is the classic dead bug, and we're kicking forward, not up, okay? Now, that was the supported use, and that's the cool thing about using the bender ball. Now we're gonna move up from the tailbone to the shoulder blade level, not the mid back, right between the two bones. And now we want to really start challenging a little bit more that low back spine muscle, the lumbar spine, to see how strong we're coming along. And this is probably, you know, 5 or 7 sessions that you're in. Now you can really tell if you're recruiting your abdominals without using your low back muscles. Again, elbows wide, supporting your head, and then you curl in. Find a good tempo that works for you so you can breathe in and breathe out. Okay? All right, so now we're gonna move on to what I call the mermaid. So the mermaid is like you're sitting on a rock like a mermaid. The bender ball is gonna be on the opposing side, and I want you to kind of go by feeling the hip flexor. So you might feel a little hip stretch on the hip flexor on that trail leg, and a butt cheek stretch on the lead leg, or the side that the ball is at. But you want to like really reach for the trail foot to really get that stretch to the hip, okay? And then feel free and notice to use that forward hand, okay, on the knee so you feel supported, and you can just focus again on the breathing tempo and finding the stretch on the top hip, on the one that's up top, okay? Let me show you from the other side so you can get a better idea. So again, the mermaid, I call this the mermaid, hip flexor stretch. Sometimes if you're super tight, you might feel the butt cheek on that one. The ball is right at the hip, against it, all right? And again, you're supporting yourself at the knee. And then the other hand, the top hand, reaches for the trail leg, not the knee, but the foot, because we're trying to follow that path of the oblique muscles while stretching the top hip IT band area. Again, I want to remind you, find that breathing tempo that works for you. All right, so give this a try. I will go for 3 weeks